Welcome back, Rankers. Interesting article that's come out of TechCrunch this week, and thank you very much to Texas Tim Tam on Twitter, aka Grace, for pointing out this story to me. It is a story on the 20 most expensive keyword categories in Google AdWords, and this is a report put together by a company called WordStream, who have a service that allows you to automate a lot of the process of running an AdWords campaign. Interesting phrases here. Now, these are American, and you can see, you know they're American, because 2 of the top 10 have to do with attorneys and lawyers. That wouldn't be the case in Australia, of course. But certainly no surprise with the top 3 all finance related. And these are going to be expensive in the US. A few surprises in there as well. But just remember, if you are targeting an expensive key phrase, whether it be in AdWords or organic search, make sure, this is especially true if you're in a large country like the US, make sure that you drill down to local regions, because quite often, if you're a small business trying to go up against the big guys, you're only servicing a small area, and in the case of Australia, you might only be servicing, 15, 20k radius that you want to move around in. Well, you can do that with both search organic and search in AdWords. And with organic, you do it with making sure that your places and your maps are set up properly. And of course, it's easier to do in AdWords. And ranking for geolocated phrases is often, in fact, almost always easier than non-geolocation phrases. So thank you, Grace, for that story. And we get a question from L Big on Twitter as well, and he's asking about what's a good time for a page to download in milliseconds in Webmaster Tools. Well, what he's talking about there is if you go into Webmaster Tools and if you go under Diagnostics and Crawl Stats, you'll see some interesting stuff here about the Googlebot's experience when it visits your site. And this is a new client's just come on recently. You can see where they've come on here, and basically, this is pages crawled per day. So once they came on as a client here, they start to get their site crawled a lot more. And that's about, 1.5 times to what they were getting crawled. And of course, because of that, then more kilobytes have been downloaded per day by the Googlebot. But then we got this ugly spike right here. And this is time spent downloading a page in milliseconds. And what this is saying is that it took 17,000 milliseconds for this page to be downloaded. Now, that's bad by anyone's standard. And then if you go into the labs section and you look at site performance, you can see that spike coincide with the graph. And I went, bing, and that's nasty. And you can see now it's on its way back down. But why that happened was because the client was on a shared server. They were sharing the site with 1,000 other sites, and so we've moved them off that now, of course. But one of the main things to do with looking at site speed and site performance and time it takes a page to be downloaded in milliseconds is compare it against who you're competing against. If you want to get on the front page and you're on the front page, then make sure you look at the front page and go to webpagetest.org. And in case you've forgotten, let me just write that out because I know some people have trouble understanding me. Webpagetest.org. I've had comments on YouTube where people have said, what language is that guy speaking? Webpagetest.org. Compare your site, put your competitor's site in. If they're faster than your site, just make sure you've got to beat their metrics. You don't have to beat Google, just theirs. So don't worry about, what's a good time, what's a bad time. If you're the best in a bad bunch, great. But chances are now everyone's getting pretty slick about their page speed and their download times and their server speeds. Finally today, just a little bit more on Google+, and there's an excellent blog article out by a guy called Glenn Gabe, and it is talking about the experience of AdWords and social advertising and Google+. And what Glenn points out is that Google+ basically represents the first opportunity where the search advertising experience will now follow into the social advertising experience, meaning that up until now, really the only social advertising was in Facebook. With the advent of Google Plus, and there's more and more people, I don't know how many millions are on there now, but certainly I'm spending a lot more time on Google Plus than what I am on Facebook and Twitter, just because of the experience. But what Glenn points out is very interesting in that the Google can target ads to you in search based on your search preferences and those sorts of things. And that advertising experience can now follow into a social environment, which is Google Plus. And that's the first time that's happened. And of course, there's no ads yet in Google Plus, but of course, that's Google's business, right? So there will be eventually. And there's a couple of things missing from Google Plus, which they have said that they will be rolling out. And these are the things that are going to make it pretty amazing sort of tool. One of the things that was missing recently was William Shatner. Well, he's now on. He got booted off and he came back on. So, but he's there now. But one of the main things that's missing is the ability to find people by keyword search. So, ability to find people by what your interests might be, like you can say on Twitter, when you can follow people on Twitter. Apparently that is coming in. I've already seen a little bit of spam, but the thing is with spam on Google Plus is that if you abuse the terms and service, you're stuffed because your Google profile and all those Google services attached to that profile, like your mail, like your apps and a bunch of other things, they're gone. So if you abuse the terms of service in Google Plus, then basically Google's got you by the proverbials and you're going to lose a lot more than just your Google Plus account. And that is it for this week's show. Today I'm off to the Gold Coast and off to the conference, the Professional eBay Sellers Alliance. So if any of you are going to this conference, and I hope to bump into you up there, and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.